I was just curious because you said you're doing welding and then it's something that clears your head. So I was like, well, why did you just decide to pick up a chainsaw all of a sudden?
Yeah, I guess I've always liked doing stuff with my hands and building stuff, right? So just kind of, we got a new family camp there, and I said, oh, I'll make something for camp. And that's kind of how it started. That was my first one, and it's still out there today. It was, I
What
made
was
an
that?
owl. An owl, yeah.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome back. And a special thanks to Alex at Wordzine. A special thanks to Alex at Wordzine for hooking us up with this scene. Edition numero 5. We are back. We're the first episode back since King of the Wing. King of the Wing went great. Thanks to our sponsors at Flavor Factory. The championship match was a no contest, so Johnny Millennial hung on to that belt, and Skinface, well, he'll have to challenge another day. Okay, so welcome back to the show. As always, thanks to Russell. Thanks to Russell. Without Russell, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing, so as always, thanks to Russell. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Broken Stick Brew Co. You can see that Pills, what is it today? Parliamentary Birds Ale. Parliamentary Birds Ale. Because it's owls. Whew! Owls, when they flock together, are a parliament. Anyways, brought to you by Broken Stick Brew Co. And coming up, we're still putting together a Sports Insider contest. We've got 3 valued participants who are going to compete to be the next Sports Insider champion. And that's going to be chock full of bragging rights where the winner will be cheered and the loser will be booed until my throat is coarse and sore. It's going to be participation prizes. And that way no one's going home empty-handed. So there'll be something for everybody at our Sports Insider contest coming up. Now we want to jump into a little segment called Why Did Hollywood Turn Its Back on Blank? And today's celebrity is Josh Hartnett. So why did Hollywood turn its back on Josh Hartnett? I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. And that's why did Hollywood turn its back on blank? Okay, in today's episode coming up, today's guest, our conversation today with Chainsaw Carver, Rob Amadio. We'll get into that in just a second. But just before we get into that, let's get into the half-assed jokes. Is it an oxymoron when Christian women have an OnlyFans? If I were a major credit card company, I'd probably come up with a new slogan like, Livin' La Visa Loca. Yeah, so that's half-assed jokes. Okay, let's get into the conversation. Chainsaw Carver or Chainsaw Sculptor?
I'd say Carver, yeah. Keep it simple. I don't even think I could spell, I don't think I can spell sculptor.
Is Sculptor too artsy-fartsy?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, just, Carver's good for me, I guess.
Just curious because when I was looking online, there's actually a union for this. Did you know there's a union for chainsaw sculptors?
No, I didn't know a union. I'm getting underpaid, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I have it here somewhere, but we'll get to it. But so I tried to do some research, man, but it's something I don't know much about, but I'll introduce you first. So Rob Amadio, Chainsaw Carver, you've taken this up. Actually, why don't you tell people a little bit about you've taken this up as a hobby? Is that it?
Yeah, it started, I guess, as an interest, I guess, like a hobby. And I had a couple saws, smaller saws, and I just had an interest in it and figured I'd try. And obviously when you start something, you're not very good at it. So once I started and, you're pretty proud of something, you show your wife or something and, they chuckle or say, that's cute. So you don't want it to be cute. You want it to be better. So you burn 10 or 20 of them. And then they start kind of looking a little bit better. Right. And it just kind of progressed from there. I'm not sure why I like it, but it's just when I'm doing it, I don't really think of anything else. So it's kind of good for I don't know, like just clears your mind, right? If I get 10 minutes to do it, if I get 2 hours, that's all you're thinking about is making it look like something.
Does using a chainsaw have anything to do with what you do for work?
No, I'm a welder, pipe welder for the gas company. So no, it's kind of I guess a lot of people say like, why don't you weld at home or whatever? But I just kind of I don't want to do what I do for a living at home kind of thing. I like working with wood. So whether it's I'm not much of a carpenter, believe it or not, like a finished carpenter. Like I would like to be, but seems I'm better off carving.
So what made you think to pick up a chainsaw if you're not? Were you doing stuff with chainsaws beforehand, and it was just always like, were you chopping wood or cutting trees or something, or why did you pick up a chainsaw to do this?
Yeah, like I've always like my uncles and my dad and everything. We've always been around, had to cut wood for camp and everything like that. So I've been around them. But I'm not sure why I started. I used to watch that Saw Dogs and Carver Kings and stuff like that, and I figured, they looked interesting. Anyway, I said, hey, I want to try that. So that's kind of how it started, I guess.
I was just curious because you said you're doing welding, and then it's something that clears your head. So I was like, well, why did you just decide to pick up a chainsaw all of a sudden?
Yeah, I guess I've always liked doing stuff with my hands and building stuff, right? So just kind of, we got a new family camp there, and I said, oh, I'll make something for camp. And that's kind of how it started. That was my first one, and it's still out there today. It was,
what was that?
An owl, yeah.
That's good. I'm drinking Parliamentary Bird's Ale from Broken Stick right now. That's an owl.
Oh, right on. Cheers.
So I did a bit of research here to try and to learn a little bit about this. So what kind of wood are you using to carve this stuff?
Well, I use pretty exclusively, I use white pine, just because it's a softer wood, and it seems to crack a lot less than, say, like a cedar or spruce is real bad for cracking and stuff. All wood cracks, but white pine is, and then they're coming in large diameter logs. So opposed to like smaller trees, but hardwood, you don't want to carve maple or oak or anything like that, because you probably could. I just don't, because it's hard on your saws and your equipment, right?
So where do you pick up the wood to do this? Just like around property at camp or something like that?
Well, that's kind of how it started, right? Everyone has a couple, stumps kicking around, or I started with cedar. I've done telephone poles, and then I got into going to find them myself in like the bush, find dead standing pine, or my chum has a property there. I've harvested some logs from him, but I've recently, the more I've been doing, I can't keep up as far as stock, I guess. So I've had to switch gears and start buying logs from like loggers. It's a little bit more convenient, but it's more money, right? Like it's coming out of your profit, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. But it says that you're growing supply and demand, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like I started this in 2017, but not very seriously, I guess, playing around and seeing. And then we had my daughter, and kind of time wasn't there to do it. And then I came back to it probably in like 2019, and then it just kind of ramped up from there. And especially when I made something that actually looked like something, even if it wasn't perfect, like it was something like, wow, it's kind of looks like an eagle, but more like a seagull or something, like, so it kind of looks like a bird. So once you make something like that, it kind of fuels you to do better on the next one, right? That's what I try to do, is everyone just try to get a little bit better, whether it's, I don't know, slowing down and more detail. And that's another thing, you get a little bit faster too, a little bit more confident. I used to look at logs and I'd make a couple cuts, and kind of patting yourself on the back, like it kind of looks like a wing. So you just stare at it for, a couple days, and then you're scared to do any more cuts, because it's one of those things, like you can't add it back on once it's off. So I was a little bit slower, underconfident. So that's kind of picking up. Not that it's all there right now, but it's getting a bit better. Kind of ramped up pretty fast, to be honest. I'm not sure why it came to me, but and this is clean as it gets, man. This is
I was gonna say, were you cutting today with everything?
Oh yeah,
on the jacket?
yeah. I've been cutting all morning. Yeah, my big 36-inch diameter logs. I'm ripping them in half, and I'm gonna make a bench.
How long does one project take? And I know they're gonna vary a little bit, but roughly, and you could even explain why they would vary.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just size, right? So right off the bat, if it's a 6-foot something, it's going to take longer than a 2-foot. How dry the wood is, because to get into cracking, it's pretty. I'm still learning that. Like, what's the best way to go about it? Right? Are you better off to seal it right away? Blah blah blah. But it depends. Like, I'm getting quite a bit faster, so. Like we get back to the confidence thing, like kind of just doing it so I can have it blocked out in an hour or two. That's with like the bigger saw. I don't like the shape of the big bear back there. That probably took an hour and a half to block out like that, but it's not obviously detailed. So now I got to spend another, the detailing takes a little bit longer, right? Where you kind of use smaller saws and trim it down from its like square look. And then you get into the finer details and then staining, and it'd be hard to say. Like, they vary, I guess. Like that black bear sitting there, I probably got 15 hours into it, maybe.
And then do you paint it and everything afterwards yourself? Or
yep. Lots of them I paint, and some of them I stain. Burn and stain. So you burn them and then you sand them off with the Sandoflex, and some of them look kind of. A lot of people just want them natural looking, right? Like just the wood, and
gotcha.
But a lot of people want them painted. But I kind of like, while we're on that, like I kind of like, just because I'm not fast, and so someone might say, hey, I want a bear this big, I want them holding this. I'm not there yet as far as promising that it's going to be exactly that. So I like kind of carving them, and then if you want to buy them, great, and if not, then they sit here until someone does, kind of thing. So.
Hey, so you sent me a couple of videos. We'll cut into one right now. Said you watched everything. You looked at the guys, the Carver Kings on HGTV, and they've got like a YouTube channel or something like that. Are these basically like strongman competitions, but for carving? So they're out there with their wood, and there's like, it's timed, it's like judged on like performance, detail, all these different things.
Yeah, so that would be like a carving event.
Do you have to fucking carry your wife with a log as well?
Yeah, no shirt. Yeah, it's kind of one of those. There's carving events like that, but those shows like the Saw Dogs and Carver Kings. Saw Dogs was the first. They it was kind of scripted, right? Like, so they were carving and stuff, so they would screw up on purpose, kind of thing, just so they have something to talk about, and
right,
that kind of thing. And then it was, Carver Kings was a little bit better. They got more into the carving, Pete Ryan and Ryan Cook and stuff like that. So that's where I sparked interest. Like, holy shit, that's pretty wild. These guys can do that with a chainsaw, right? So, and then you start looking into these guys more, and that's when you get into watching them at the events, right? So they have things called speed carves. So what you can carve in an hour, kind of thing, or 4 hours, and then they have a couple day events where they're 2-3 days, and spectators come and watch, and then there's ultimately judges to see. So eventually I might want to get into something like that, but I was supposed to go down to but in Washago, there was a carving event down there, but with COVID and everything, it kind of got shut down, which is probably better because it gave me more time to get stock, because you're supposed to bring a certain amount of carvings and everything like that and get faster and better. The more stuff you can have, it's not a rush on them, right? Because I didn't really touch upon it too much. Like, I like to let them crack and then fix the cracks before I sell it to somebody. So I find if I let them crack, then I can fix the cracks with shims, and there's a couple different ways, but and then I can finish them, sell them, and I know they're, for the most part, they're done cracking.
We were talking about speed carving for a second. Now, speed carving with a chainsaw seems kind of dangerous. I mean, do you wear any protective, I guess, safety goggles, but is there anything else like?
Yeah, no, if I remember, like, no, just kidding. I usually wear chaps, chainsaw pants. So if the chainsaw, lots of times that's where your chainsaw is going to get you, is for kickback, is in the legs. So yeah, I wear chainsaw pants. I got a couple different pairs, like ones you pull on, like normal pants, and then chaps. They kind of just like assless chaps or whatever. So what those do is, if the saw, for people that don't know, is if the saw was ever to hit those, they're made of special fiber that would bind the saw up immediately, and you might hurt, but you're not going to cut your leg to a point where you're bleeding, right? Just so they're good to wear. Obviously glass, not these glasses, but glasses at the very least, because the little pieces in the eye. But there's a hard hat with you could have earmuffs and a shield, this kind of thing. But I do that with like fallen trees or something, or cutting a bunch of wood. But I'm not gonna lie, lots of times I'm not wearing that when I'm carving, because I like to see what's going on. So just safety glasses, pretty much.
Do you ever listen to music when you do it, or would that be too distracting?
Yeah. No, that's my jam right there. I get the Bose speaker going and go to town, right? So yeah, it's kind of.
So you had what? I'm assuming you started with one chainsaw and maybe grew into buying multiple chainsaws now? Is that it?
Yeah, and of course I want more. Just my money tree hasn't got its leaves yet this year, so I started with a saw. Actually, my dad gave me my first saw, and I was pretty. I used the hell out of that. Like, it was a little bit small for what I was doing. I was cutting firewood and doing all this stuff, like ripping these logs lengthways. That you're not supposed to do that, right? So yeah, it's more for cross cutting kind of thing. But and then I, saved up and I bought other saws, bigger saws, but for saws for different applications. So yeah, now I got maybe 9 or 10 chainsaws, I guess.
Now, you're one of the few people I know of doing this. I know it's like a niche group of people, probably a number of people doing it. But the Canadian Carver growing up, he's the only other person I could remember in our area anyways that did something like that. Do you remember him, seeing those huge carvings, trading posts and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely remember him when I was a kid. I remember him being at the trading post. I don't think he was putting on a show or anything. I think that's just where he worked. Like, that's where he carved at the trading post lots of times, and then obviously out in Batchewana there too. His stuff's everywhere, right? It's on the boardwalk. He's got the bears down there. He's got the big fish. He had the moose there. Ended up getting wrecked. Someone vandalized it, but he's got. I mean, all like you go to the trading post, all those carvings are his, right? And they've been there for years. So, yeah, of course I remember that. I remember thinking they were cool back then too, and when I was a kid, and I guess it might go back to then because I always wanted to do it for some reason. Yeah, this is a battery saw. It's got just a it's a still MSA 140. Anyway, so this is what it sounds like. So it might sound loud over the thing, but it just sounds like a shop vac kind of thing. So, and now I could carve indoors without the CO, obviously the exhaust and stuff like that. So all winter I can carve in here. So I got a couple of these and some corded ones too. So that's what I use all winter, I guess. And for the smaller detailing and stuff. And then someone asked, well, what's that mean? What's that mean? What makes you a pro? And I said, well, if you don't have another job, like if you're doing that, that's your job. You know what
exactly.
I mean? So I work full time too. So, and I got kids obviously, and it's hard to find time. So you got to like, there's times I'm out here at 10, 11 at night doing it with the battery saw. That's why I know a lot of people won't do it. Like there won't be a lot of people doing it, in my mind anyway, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of research, and lots of like going to get logs. It's like it's not easy. Like I don't have a tractor or anything like that, so you're kind of rolling these things and winching them in. Like it's
like, how tall is that bear behind you? Maybe 3, 4 feet, 5 feet, something.
The one standing up.
Yeah,
that's probably about 5 feet.
5 feet.
I'm 6 feet tall, I guess. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that's huge. Yeah. So bringing that, people would take that for granted because they just see the finished product, but all the work that goes into it, even getting the massive log.
That's right. Yeah.
Here's one interesting thing I kind of thought. Could you do the same thing with ice?
I've looked into it, believe it or not. 2 years ago, I reached out to, I'd like to say they reached out to me, but maybe one day, to Bonsu. And for those who aren't listening, Bonsu is like our winter carnival since me and you have been kids, right? It's a big, I don't even know what he is. He's a snowman or something, but
yeah, I think he's a snowman.
I think he's a snowman. Yeah. So Bonsu is the big thing in the Sioux here. So I was going to carve for Bonsu and I wanted to start doing ice. So they were going to bring ice blocks in instead of, you can't, you buy them, right? So for chainsaw carving, they're made in deep freezers and they're square. So you build, and I was going to write Bonsu, and it just fell through because of it was so close to Bonsu to plan. And I think they got somewhat of a budget and everything too. So it fell through. And then this year with COVID, but yeah, I wanted to do ice, but I'm not too sure how it would go. Like I never tried it, but apparently you don't run bar oil in your chainsaw, right? So because the ice lubes your bar, I guess so. And then yeah, like I think it'd be neat down the road for sure. Like maybe buy one of those things to make ice, right? And I don't know how long they would last or about it, but I'm sure it's doable. That's for sure. And I think they shine like after it's carved, because you would look at it, it's kind of hard to see the details. So I think they shine light and stuff, like LED lights behind it, kind of thing, to show the details in it. Whereas like carvings like this, you can paint or burn and to show the finer details. Whereas ice, it's all going to be the same. So it's interesting. I'd like to try it going forward, to be honest.
In the edit, I'm gonna do a little something, because what'd you say? You're like, oh, and that's how it lubes your bar.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be like canceled or something.
Yeah. You got to keep the bar lubed.
Canceled.
What about yourself? Any kind of injuries along the way? Any close calls or scares, or just a few nicks?
Yeah. I've had some close calls, man. Like where you've had to, okay, we're taking a break here. Like it's the saws that they're not meant to do what I do with them, right? So just when you think you get comfortable, right, the tunes are going, you're relaxed, and and you got a lot of the negative space is hard to do, if that makes sense. The negative space being taking chunks out, like from say under a leg or something. So you have to pierce through the wood. So you're not cutting with the bottom of the saw. So if this was the saw blade, this is how a chainsaw is supposed to cut, or like this. But if you're using the nose, it'll kick back. It'll kick back at you, right? So you kind of just gotta be ready for it. But yeah, I've had some close calls. No real injuries yet. Knock on wood. But yeah, I've had stuff in my eye. I've had minor cuts and stuff like that, but nothing to discourage me yet.
All right, so let's hop into a little something I call TNT. TNT is topics not trending. So with all the bullshit going on in the world today, I don't want to talk about that shit. It's all nothing. You know what they say? There's nothing on the news but the blues. At least Kanye says that from one of his old albums. But so I want to talk about shit that's not trending. So I've got with the help of our little friend catchphrase here, I'm gonna pull up a word, and I got to get you to guess this word that came up here.
Oh man, I'm okay. I might not be your guy. Like, I'm not a good word guy, but
we'll see. We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can make through it. Okay, so this is a late night talk show host.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Got it. There it is.
The only one I know.
So, all right. So, what do we know about Jimmy Kimmel? Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel a little bit.
He likes to sing. He's fun. He's funny. He likes to sing, I guess. I don't know.
He likes to sing?
Yeah, he likes to sing. Is that the same guy I'm thinking about?
No, I think you're thinking of Jimmy Fallon, but you actually got it right though, which is good. Okay, next one. Okay, these are Santa's helpers.
The elves. Elf on the shelf.
Yeah, you see that? Elves. What do we know about elves? Elf on the shelf. Hey, so is Elf on the Shelf wooden carving?
They're not wood. They're
no.
It's just they're making be the next thing. Make something wood related, I guess, for that. But yeah, no, they're like stuffy animals there.
Oh, stuffy animals. Okay.
Like I don't know. Can't touch them, so you're not supposed to touch it.
Oh, you're not supposed to touch. I know. All I know is that they're popular, and I've heard this name. I know nothing about them, so you're not supposed to touch them.
Well, that's the thing for the kids. Yeah, you can't touch them or take their powers away. Santa won't come. It's kind of one of those things for December. You can threaten your kids to make them behave. Don't touch it. I'll tell the elf, kind of thing, and then they kind of do it.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, and every night he moves. He moves from. So you got to come up with ideas of where to put them, and.
I see.
So
I see.
Sometimes you forget, and you gotta. I know parents would know about it. That's for sure.
See, I totally thought it was just like a decorative thing. I didn't know there was this whole game plan behind it of all this stuff you could do. They're supposed to.
Yeah, no, it's actually such it's a great marketing scheme. Whoever came up with it and invented it, because everyone has one. Like that has kids has one.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. They're like trolls or Barbies or something like that.
Genius. Yeah.
All right, moving on. This one's tough to explain. So, not under, but
over.
Yeah. And if I'm just like pointing to a spot, you would say
over there. Over there.
Over there.
Over there, eh?
That one was I wasn't sure about that one.
Yeah, I like that.
How can we talk about over there? When's the last time you went over there?
Just yesterday. Oh, I was over there earlier.
Topic's not trending. That's great, man.
Topic's not trending. That's pretty good, Ian. I recently started selling them out of a friend of mine's hardware store. He started in Gooley, Twin Contracting, so can go there and see some of my carvings and all his stuff that he has. I don't know, give him a plug.
Nice. Let's actually show you sent a couple of videos to me. Let's actually jump into another video now. Oh yeah, where do you come up with the ideas of what you want to carve? So if someone's not requesting a squirrel or a bear, what are you carving?
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, when you're welding for a living all day, you're kind of just behind the shield, so lots of time to think. So I think of stuff I've seen other people do, and you want to put your own spin on it. You don't want to copy exactly what they're doing. So that kind of gives me ideas from other carvers, but I'm starting to get out of that because it's kind of generic as far as, I've seen that before and that kind of thing. So people kind of get bored. So I'm trying to keep it fresh. So I use a taxidermy book. I got a big book on taxidermy, believe it or not. So they got different molds and positions that, well, I'll just use the deer on the front. So that's an idea for me, kind of thing. So that's how I use that. Obviously the internet, and then I use pictures of bears and stuff like that, how they're sitting, how their poses, maybe make two bears kind of thing. So that kind of thing. So
speaking of taxidermy, I just watched a doc on the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's on YouTube, 50 years of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So when they first started, they got an actual live penguin to be their mascot. But
best team in the world.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so this is perfect. So they bought a live penguin to be their mascot, and then the penguin developed pneumonia. And they were like, what? How does a penguin develop pneumonia? He lives on the ice. But it turns out they bought a South African penguin that isn't used to ice or something like that. And the penguin died. and then like the headlines were like, oh, I forget the penguin's name, but they were just like, Laffy hangs on just as much as the pens hang on or whatever, because the pens were really bad at the time too. And then he died after a week. Then they stuffed him, and he was like in their lobby or whatever. And then the animal rights people stole him, and he's never been seen again.
Poor Laffy.
Yeah, whatever his name was, I forget. But it was just wild. It had like a photo of him in the hospital bed or whatever.
He's all hooked up.
Like, of course, they buy a South African penguin, and the guy
gets. Can you put a picture of Laffy on at the end?
I'll put one up right now. We'll do a little rest in peace for Laffy.
Rest in peace.
And I'll get his real name.
Go Pens.
Okay. Yeah, they're doing well right now, eh?
Yeah, they're turning it on.
What's been the most challenging carve?
Probably that I think it was 5-foot eagle with a speck in the bottom, like a speckled trout in the bottom. I think I sent you a picture of it. So
in its feet, is it?
I was kind of going down. It didn't quite get it yet, so it kind of leaves.
Oh, gotcha.
That was the thing, is I wanted to like people to think like, well, I wonder if it got it or if it got away, right? So
gotcha.
Be kind of.
I didn't see that one yet, but I'll take a look for it, and if it's there, I'll put it in. Is it got like the talons? Did you get the talons really coming in at it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, cool. That was probably the one I'm most proud of. It was the one I kind of got me going when I did that one, and then I got lots of people kind of seeing it and were interested. Then it kind of steamrolled from that one, but that's the one I spent probably the most time on. It's actually available, like it's at that store in Goulet still. It's
oh, gotcha.
That's one of the things I'm running into, is not a lot of people want to spend, like, they got different carvings that are different prices, right? But not a lot of people want to spend the money that they got down in cottage country and stuff, right? So, and I can't give them away as far as I could give some away. Don't get me wrong, I give deals and stuff like that, but the amount of hours and time it takes,
you got to charge what it's worth.
I think so. And now you're paying for the logs too, and some of these logs, they're not they're not cheap, and they're not easy to go get, right? So and it's a lot of like just getting the log is like, and getting it in here is a thing. And then, you know, it doesn't stop there. It's all the sawdust you got to deal with. So when I mean sawdust, is like bags and truckloads that you got to get rid of.
That's something you don't think of. Geez, yeah. So where do you just take that to the dump afterwards or something like that?
Yeah, I've actually sold to a couple of people for their horses, I guess. Like,
oh, really?
So I made a sifter. It's basically like a rocking box that has a bunch of grading and stuff. So it sifts out all the big chunks.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it was the right type of wood, or I've only done that a couple of times. Somebody's took it for their horses, and I explained that to them. They know more about horses than I do. So they said, no, it's fine. It doesn't burn. It's so dense, I guess, like wet.
Just one of those interesting things you would never think of, when starting a business or something. Sometimes you got to get rid of the stuff. You got to get rid of something like that, like sawdust, getting rid of that. You're like, where are we going to put all these bags and bags of sawdust? It becomes, expense. And then.
Yeah, it's a thing, right? Like every day I'd feel that I'm carving a couple garbage bags anyway, right? So, and I reuse the bags. I don't when I dump them. That's what my mom would want to know that. She's big recycling and everything, so she, throwing all those bags out, are you? And I said, no, I reuse them. So she'd be proud. She'd be proud of me for.
Or when I was like, "Where do you take all that sawdust?" I'm like, "The dump." You're like, "Yeah, the dump." But really, you're just like throwing it. We cut to you just like throwing it in the bush or throwing it in the St. Mary's in the St. Mary's River.
Yeah, the dump.
Well, if somebody wanted to contact you to make like a request or something like that, are you on socials or do you have a website or anything like that?
Yeah, no, like I don't have a website yet, and there's a couple of reasons for that, but I don't get into it. But yeah, Facebook, Rob Amadio, and Instagram. It's getting pretty busy enough right now, and I don't advertise at all, like through just word of mouth or I put one on Facebook. Say this month I just started bringing them out to that store. And they all seem to sell eventually, right? And some really fast, and some ahead of time. I wouldn't even know a name. Maybe we can get some of your viewers or whatever to write in a name for me. I'm open. I'm not creative that way, I guess. Like
it is hard coming up with a name. Carver Kings, the Canadian Carver. I guess you got to have some sort of alliteration to it.
Yeah, something I can, like I said, something I could spell too. I was thinking like something abbreviated. I like the initials.
Once I chop all this up, I'll kind of decide which sections go where.
That's pretty good. Chop it up.
Chop it up. Yeah, there you go. This is our last segment here, buddy. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to step into a little thing called the Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet.
So the Gauntlet is... it's just like existential questions. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just how you see the world.
Okay.
What's the most useful thing you own?
Maybe my truck.
Favorite piece of clothing?
My hats.
Hat?
Hats, yeah, my hats. Big hat guy.
Hats. Where does the time go?
It's gone.
It's gone, baby. What's something you were really into as a kid?
Dirt biking.
Why are we here?
Nobody knows.
And what does the world need most?
Peace, man.
Nice. You survived the gauntlet, man. Okay, so this is great, everyone. Rob Amadio, Chainsaw, Carver, and hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time.
Right on.
And as always, keep on the grass.
That's right. Keep your stick on the ice.